This is our top story at this hour. A deal led by the United Nations and the International Red Cross has begun to ease the ordeal of the most destructive siege of the war in Ukraine. Roughly 100 civilians have been evacuated from the besieged Azovstal steel plant in the eastern Ukrainian city of Mariupol. The United Nations confirmed a safe passage operation was in progress there. The International Committee of the Red Cross said it was currently participating in the operation. Russia's defense ministry gave a lower figure of 80 civilians. One Russian news report put the number of civilians still in the plant at more than 500. Neither the UN nor the ICRC have said how many civilians they are transporting. It was not immediately clear why the sides had given different figures. Moscow says some civilians were handed over to the United Nations and the Red Cross. Civilians were seen emerging from the steel plant's rubble. They were driven to an undisclosed location in the Donetsk region of Ukraine.
Два месяца, да? Ну вот сейчас приехали с ООН, с Красного Креста.
Stories of the harsh conditions in the besieged Mariupol have horrified the world. The plant was the last holdout in the port city that has endured a Russian blockade since the conflict began. Even as hundreds of holdout Ukrainian troops and civilians took shelter in the Azovstal steelworks, Moscow declared victory in Mariupol on April the 21st. It is a vast Soviet-era complex with a network of bunkers and tunnels where they have been trapped with little food, water or even medicine. In a video address, Zelensky hoped the evacuation could continue on Monday.
Today we finally managed to start the evacuation of people from Azovstal. After many weeks of negotiations, after many attempts, various meetings, people, calls, countries, proposals, finally, there was not a day that we did not try to find a solution that would save our people. Today, for the first time in all the days of the war, this vital corridor has started working. For the first time, there were 2 days of ceasefire in this area. We managed to take out more than 100 civilians, women, children, first of all who escaped from hostilities there, in Azovstal.
After being evacuated from the bunkers of Mariupol's Azovstal steelworks, dozens of civilians arrived at a temporary accommodation center. Civilians arrived in a village in Donetsk under the control of Russia-backed separatists. They received refreshments and care after weeks of suffering. Meanwhile, head of the Catholic Church in the Vatican City, Pope Francis, renewed his call for the opening of humanitarian corridors in Ukraine. The Pope raised the plight of bombed Mariupol in his weekly prayer.
Anche ora, anche da qui, rinnovo la richiesta che siano predisposti corridoi umanitari sicuri per le persone intrappolate nella acciaieria di quella città. Soffro e piango, pensando alle sofferenze della popolazione ucraina, in particolare ai più deboli, agli anziani, ai bambini. Giungono persino notizie terribili di bambini espulsi e deportati.
Let's now talk more about the situation in Ukraine. WION correspondent William Denslow is joining us live from Riga, Latvia. William, good to see you. What more do we know about the evacuation process from the Azovstal steel plant? And there seems to be a dilemma on the real number of those stuck in the plant.
Absolutely. There certainly is some discrepancy when it comes to those figures. We have, though, heard from Volodymyr Zelensky, Ukraine's president, who says that 100 people have been evacuated from that steel plant in Mariupol. He says that they are currently being were moved to a Russian-controlled region, and then they'll be heading to a Ukrainian region in the coming days. Now, we've heard from a spokesperson from the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, who says that they're not providing too much in way of details as to not inhibit the success of this mission. They do say, though, that those that have evacuated receiving humanitarian assistance, they also say that there is a hope, as far as the UN is concerned, that everyone, all civilians in that besieged area will be able to evacuate if they wish to. Now, there are some concerning reports out on Monday morning and this coming from Ukraine's National Guard Brigade commander, who says that raids on that steel plant have continued. And there is a message we're also hearing from the United Nations, though, that evacuations in the wider area, so not necessarily those thousands of people that are still believed to be in that steel plant, but those in the wider Mariupol region are set to continue with evacuations throughout Monday, as this process, which of course, as you mentioned, has been in the works for days, seeks to gather some degree of pace.
William, Russia declared victory in the port city on April the 21st. President Zelensky claims Moscow wants to completely block the country's economy. What impact does this claim by the president have on the war?
Well, yes, this is certainly seen by some in Ukraine as an effort for Russia to exert a lasting influence in places like Kherson. Of course, what we've heard is that Russia seeks to implement the use of the ruble, Russia's currency there, as of Sunday. So a day ago, it's believed that this swap between currencies will be a transition to last 4 or 5 months. So this is certainly seen also, according to some analysts, as an effort to really secure Russia's base, especially in the south of the country, to help provide a link between the annexed portion of Crimea with the south, to help provide Russia with a corridor between the south Crimea and the east of the country that they're trying to make advances in as well. We're also understanding that mobile data as well as the internet has been shut off. Ukraine say that that is an effort by Russia to prevent civilians living in that part of the country from accessing what they deem to be the truth on the ground.
Live from Riga, Latvia, our correspondent William Denslow, thank you very much for your insights and for talking to us today. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.